So I thought it would be quite interesting to do a video on the rates of anxiety in the UK, just to get an idea for how many people are suffering with anxiety. And yeah, I just thought it'd be good to get a baseline for future videos. Now, I used a few different websites. I found a epidemiological study. I went on mentalhealth.org, Mind, the charity. Um, I used the Priory group website, also looked at Anxiety UK, and based on those and how they kind of seem to be referencing back to one another, and there's this one study or survey that came up a couple times. So I figured I'm just going to use that, and I'm just going to use the mentalhealth.org.uk site um, as a basis for this video. Um, just because, as I said, they seem to intertwine, and this just is quite straightforward. And you can find the link. Um, I'll put it below for their website, and then also from there you'll be able to um, look at their reference, which is a survey I'm going to talk about. So if you look at their third point on their page, it talks about how the 1 week prevalence of generalized anxiety is 6.6%. Now, I think that's really good to get it in that as short as period of time as possible. Because, for example, their first point is that there were 8.2 million cases of anxiety in the UK. That doesn't mean 8.2 million people have anxiety and always have anxiety. There are just those cases. Some people might get better. Some people who might not have had it before might get it. It's good to get a set point in time, ideally like a second snap moment in time, see how many people have anxiety. So has that figure 6.6%, which I think sounds a little bit low just based on some stats I've read about depression and how depression and anxiety can go hand in hand. But again, that's what they're stating. On the bottom of their page, they reference, I believe it's so reference number 3, and it's a 405-page report. At least that's how many pages my PDF reader is picking up, and it's the mental health and well-being in England, and published, says NHS Digital, and then national statistics, and it says Adult Psychiatry Morbidity Survey 2014, which sounds very depressing when you hear morbidity. And also, I mean, this is from 2014, so maybe not as relevant today. I don't know if they've done a 2021 version or whether it takes some time to publish. But yeah, that needs to be taken into account because obviously COVID has happened since then. Another point I want to make is, so first they talk about how they do surveys. I think it's every 7 years, it looks like. So they did 93, 2000, 2007, 2014, using comparable methods, so the trends can be examined. They interview 7,500 people, people who are age 16 or over, living in a household. I don't know if it's this one for specifically, but I saw a critique or a comment, explaining how, these are people in households. It might not be taken into account people in prisons, homeless people, people in those situations who might be more anxious, which is why the true figure could be a bit higher. And also, it's quite a small sample, which 7,500 people, there's millions of people in the UK. So you're kind of extrapolating a bit here. And also, you're not to offend anyone who takes surveys, but you're measuring people who take surveys. I heard someone make a joke about that once. It's like, well, that was actually really true. If you're taking a survey, like, you're probably not in the worst place in the world. I mean, yeah, just an assumption. So those are some things to take from that. But they do say that, they use quite rigorous tools and they try to identify any undiagnosed conditions and then kind of, get all the stats from this survey. So, I think another good way to look at this would be to look at diagnosis. How many people are diagnosed with X X disorder or generalized anxiety disorder in a certain year, but I just thought it was an interesting start. It's something to look at, it has its pros and it has its cons. Yeah, so again, more data to be looked into here, but it looks like about 6.6%. I would say probably a little bit higher if we're looking at the true figure, but again, it needs to be looked into more. I'm going to put the links below, and yeah, hopefully that helps.